I've watched you. Sometimes our people disagree with you, but I mean, I understand some of your approach. I mean, sometimes we take a hard bite. It helps us as politicians.
Nowadays, when I listen to you, I even panic.
Why do you panic?
The way you, Papa, you know, Papa.
Figuratively, he bites as hard as he can.
Okay.
And of course, when he puts his fangs into you, you certainly feel it. I think it prickles.
Watch Johnny's bite.
I've watched you. Sometimes our people disagree with you, but I mean, I understand some of your approach. I mean, sometimes we take a hard bite. It helps us as politicians.
Nowadays, when I listen to you, I even panic.
Why do you panic?
The way you, Papa, you know, Papa.
Figuratively.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Hasbanallahu wa ni'mal wakil. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Johnny's Bite. Now, this Friday, 6 p.m., it will be the 3FM Corporate Connect. We're going to the Gold Coast, Gold Coast, right opposite, right next to the Tourist Information Center on the main Liberation Road. So 3FM, bring out your friends or your, your work colleagues, your business partners, and let's have a good time as a 3FM Corporate Connect. It's important that we do. Also, please note that later today, around 8 o'clock, we will be playing back a conversation that I had yesterday, sitting down with the rector of the United Nations University. The rector of the United Nations University. We spoke about artificial intelligence and the future. We spoke about education, free SHS particularly. We spoke about African trade, African unity. We spoke about security and all the issues in between. So join us for that conversation with Professor Chijili Mawala. He is the rector of the United Nations University. This morning, I want to wish all of us a happy Africa Day, because it's AU. We are all happy. We are supposed to be. But if you look at the continent of Africa, you may want to rethink your joy, because consistently, it looks like Africa is constantly in need of aid. Africa, to a very large extent, has not been able to rise above aid. We are always at the beck and call of the West, and we are always in need of aid. Something that Kwame Nkrumah, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, Muammar Gaddafi, Louis Farrakhan, all those people who are of African descent, who thought that Africa could fend for itself. On this day, you pause and reflect and ask yourself, what really is the future of Africa? Because you find leaders in Africa that seem not to be doing the things that were envisioned, that seem not to have fresh ideas that will bring the people out of the doddles. You go to the African country, one African country after the other, and the story remains the same. If it's not poverty, children, education is some way, the economy is whatever. And it cuts across in many different parts of Africa. Many different parts of Africa. There are a few bright spots, but across the continent of Africa, it's not good. And this is where on Africa Union Day, you expect that our leaders will have a change of mind and heart and repent. But no. Today is Thursday. I want to throw back, a bit of throwback. At the just ended Kumewu by-elections, we're told that, the roads are being fixed and hurriedly so, and that some people even said that they want their MPs to die so that development will come to them and all of that. Some said, don't wish for that. It's not a good thing. Of course, it's not a good thing. Now, there are also those who say that, so if the MP had not died and the by-election was not at hand, the roads will not be done. The minister said, no, these roads were already being done and all of that. I want to play for you a video when fix the country, and all of those conversations started, and they asked the minister for roads to fix the roads, the government to fix the roads. Listen to him.
President Akufo-Addo started fixing roads in Ghana in a very strong manner from 2017. So at times it's ridiculous that you hear somebody saying we are in 2021, fix roads. You are far behind. You are years and months behind. Those people should double up and follow us and know where we are. We have left them behind. When roads were being fixed from January 2017 with speed, but without sacrificing quality. Hey, 4 or 5 years on, we should fix roads. You are late. You are far behind. Get up and run and catch up with us, because we have gone far.
Please bring back the facial expressions of the people at the press conference. The minister said, "Oh, we've been fixing roads and we should hurry up. We are far behind." Pause. Show that to the viewers. See the facial expression of the officials who joined the minister. These are senior citizens who are also technocrats. Look at their facial expression. They couldn't believe it. When the minister said we should hurry up, and I ask you in your community, even if you hurried up, in fact, he said hurry up, if you did, would you see roads that have been tarred in your place? The people of Teshie are crying for their roads. This is just a throwback video. The minister says we are far behind and we need to hurry up. Even if we hurried up with the speed of a hair, would we see what he's talking about, or he's the only one seeing it? Now, speaking of all these things, you know, when your roads are properly connected, they are well done, you will have a Ghana Beyond Aid mentality. I want you to listen to the president at one of our independence celebrations in the early days of his government. He gave all of us, including Africa, a certain hope. Listen to him.
Destiny requires a deliberate qualitative change in all aspects of our lives, especially in the structure of our economy, the nature of our infrastructure, the education of our young people and acquisition of skills, and above all, in our attitudes and holding firm to the values that define us. The change in our fortunes will only happen when our economy improves. Since I became president, I've been advocating for a Ghana, indeed an Africa Beyond Aid, and I'm keen to have the support of all of us in this enterprise. Nobody needs to spell it out to us that the economic transformation we desire will not come through aid. We have been on that trajectory for most of the past 61 years, and it has not happened. We are told there is aid fatigue. The taxpayers of the aid givers have a right to decide how their tax money is spent. The truth is that even if there were no aid fatigue, and with the best will in the world and the most charitable governments in place in the so-called donor countries, there will be never enough aid to develop Ghana to the...
So, this was our president in the early days of his government. May you feel the vibes? Sana nina be vibes. Vibes. He said that we need to look at the structure of our economy, and he was the one who told us that we'll move our economy from the Gadgetsbergen economy to an industrialized economy, from taxation to production. When you start assessing that, they start telling you, we have built, 150 factories. Beautiful. What has been the impact of the 150 factories on our economy? Year on year since they started operating. Then the president says, we need to look at our infrastructure. Then he says, we need to look at the education of our children. When did we change the curriculum? Do the children still have textbooks? And we have seen the children complaining about even the quality of foods. A lady of Lords in Navrongo or someplace like that.
Johnny's Bite.
The different schools, they're asking. The key question is that, so when the president stands to make these statements, and at that time there were other African leaders with him.
Johnny's Bite.
He even spoke about the attitude and the values. What has been the attitude of the leadership? What has been the attitude of the leadership? And so when the president said it, we were all excited. Very well excited. And then the bombshell hit us that if we default, for example, 4 loans with the Chinese, they will take over. 4 loans from the Chinese, they will take over if we default. Show me that default thing. If we default 4 loans, show me.
Johnny.
If we default, they're going to take over now. China will have access to Ghana's mineral revenue, electricity sales in default of 4 loans.
Johnny's Bite.
So we're talking Ghana beyond aid. Son, it is Ghana in need of aid. It be vibes.
Johnny's Bite.
But you know, the finance minister had assured us that contrary to the fears being expressed, we were not going back to the IMF because we wanted to be polished up in order to look good to borrow, because our situation had gotten so worse that nobody wanted to give us money anymore.
Johnny's Bite.
You have borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, and at this present time, your debt stock is over 90%, almost 100% of your GDP.
Johnny's Bite.
We are a sick nation.
Johnny's Bite.
Almost 600 billion.
Johnny's Bite.
We have borrowed to that tune.
Johnny's Bite.
We have borrowed to that tune.
Johnny's.
And when you ask the question, they say, "Oh, but we're using it." Blah blah blah. Play the president's video at the Qatar, the forum. Play that video.
Secure program. We had a staff level agreement with the fund in December. It's a relatively quick period, and finally in May we secured the fund.
What do you attribute the delays to?
I think it's the usual negotiations with the IMF. They take time. And in fact, the 10 months which has been involved in the Ghanaian program is one of the fastest on record. There's a whole lot of stuff that you have to go through in terms of exchange of data, the negotiations, making sure that the macro indices that you are looking for are in the right direction. All of these are the ones that consume the time. But nevertheless, it's over. And now we believe that it is going to provide us with a foundation for redirecting the economy, for repositioning the Ghanaian economy, firstly, to regain the macro stability that had been lost. Secondly, to be able to have a better control over important data like interest rates, inflation. And then finally also to position us to be able to go back into the international capital market, which had been a source of funding for us for the first 3 or 4 years of our government.
Do you see that happening soon? Because I know your finance minister said there's no rush to get back.
There's no rush to get back, but nevertheless, obviously, why not? Can we not take advantage of global savings? It makes a lot of sense to be able to do that.
Hey, Adodi, so you want to take advantage of some other people's savings? You see, I played for you a video not so long ago of how the president said that we as Africans need to rise beyond aid. He said that. I played a video for you not so long ago. In this particular last video that I played for you, the president said in the first 3 years of his administration, that is what they have taken advantage of, the borrowing. So in 2018, when he was making that spirited thing to us that Ghana beyond aid, we were borrowing in 2017, had come down to 2018, and come down to 2019. Mind you, we were on an extended IMF program, and then 2020 COVID came, and then here we are.
Johnny's Bite.
The president gave 3 reasons,
Bite.
and it solidifies what the critics had said in the past, that we were only going to the IMF to be cleaned up because we were too dirty. We are going to the IMF, and if you listen to the president's choice of words, he said the macroeconomic stability that had been lost. He didn't say that we lost.
Johnny's Bite.
He said that had been lost. One thing the government has never done is to have the humility to admit that we took you where you are. The government says, oh, where we find ourselves, oh, the macroeconomic stability that has been lost, and all of that. The government has never put blame on itself. Number two, the government says, we're taking you to the IMF in order to have control over the data. GDP, I told you we had borrowed in excess of 90 million, almost 100 of our GDP. Inflation is 41.2, all of those ones. They don't look good. So they won't have control. The third thing which the finance minister promised us was never going to happen, which government spokesperson sat on various media and told us was never going to happen when we said we're going to the IMF in order to go and borrow. Remember, the roads minister told us that we're implementing the e-levy so that we'll use that as collateral to go and borrow. Remember that? Now the president has come to tell us that we actually are going to use the IMF after cleaning it up to go and borrow. But the IMF has told us that we will not have access to those markets until 2027. So the question is, are we again going to hurriedly go and borrow? What will be the conditionalities? Will it include us losing our mineral and electricity revenue into the hands of China? And I decided to tell you this today because African unity is an treatment of our sovereignty. So if your sovereignty now is being given out because you are hungry, you become like the man who sold his birthright for a bowl of beans. And we are still borrowing because maybe the president is in a hurry to go and get private jet to be flying around again. The president is not interested in cutting down costs. The president is not interested in cutting down expenditure. He's not interested in shrinking his government. He is first of all thinking of how to borrow. When in fact, even the first set of the IMF money just came in and we have not satisfied most of the prerequisites. The hardship on the people, the taxes, the tariff increments and all of that. Everybody is complaining. It is only President Akufo-Addo and his government who don't see anything. All he thinks about is borrow, borrow, borrow. Borrow, borrow, borrow. Borrow, borrow, borrow. Borrow, borrow, borrow. Abba. Good morning.
A hard bite. It helps us as